Well, Jay, thank you so much for hopping on a Zoom call with me today. Technology is awesome, and I'm glad we can connect. This is part of our series called the Amplify REI show, where we just learn from awesome investors like yourself. So thank you for hopping on the call. I really, really appreciate it.
You are more than welcome, and I appreciate being here, Brian.
Great. Well, Jay, so you're located out in Charlotte, correct? The
Yes,
beautiful state of South
I'm
Carolina.
in the Queen City, as they call it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I've wanted to go there. I had a trip actually planned for there back in May of last year, and then obviously COVID happened, so I wasn't able to make it out. But hopefully, we can make it out there soon. So, well, Jay, you've been with us. You've been working with Amplify for a few months now, and it's been an awesome experience. But before we jump into some of that, I would love to hear how you even started out getting into real estate investing. So, if you wouldn't mind, roll back the clock a little bit. Tell me about your first deal you've done as a real estate investor and what kind of drew you to this industry.
Okay. Well, initially, I was really getting in loans. I was dealing with the loan side. I was a broker for a lender, and I used to do a lot of loans. And one time, I had a client come in my office, and he was an investor, and we were in the conference room, and he said to me, he said, Jay, I need a loan. And I said, okay. I said, I can help you with that. I went through the normal steps. I said, can I see your pay stubs, your W-2s? He said, I don't have any of that.
Mm.
And I said, well, what do you have? He said, well, I have houses, and I just need to get money from them. He said to me, he said, I don't care what the interest rate is. I don't care what the payment is. I just need money to buy more homes. And that kind of got my mind going a little bit like, how am I going to do this loan for him? And how do I understand, how to get this done? But long story short, I helped him get a lot of loans, and I fully started understanding, the industry and what was going on. And then finally, my wife said, she was staying home, and and she was like, you got to figure this thing out. And I said, well, to me, the best way to, supplement my income is to understand that side of the industry. And that's when I dived in by doing some marketing for my first deal. I said I was going to do some marketing on, trying to find people who wanted to sell their home. And so, long story short, I had somebody that literally called me I think I had a postcard. And they finally called me. I was excited. I mean, it was pretty amazing how it happened, because they signed the contract like it was a basic, contract. They just had a sense of urgency, and I knew that was kind of my space, because they were ready to go. And the bottom line was, I didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to buy it. I just knew I was in contract, and I found a guy that I looked. I think it was on Craigslist. At the time, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And, I met him. I was living in Columbus, Ohio, about, this was years ago. And long story short, I sat down with him. I told him about the deal, and something just told me to ask him for a deposit. This is a buyer. And long story short, he wrote me a $5,000 check at the table. Freaked me out. I knew that was my industry. And long story short, I wholesaled that deal, and that's what I got paid. And he wasn't even he hadn't even had ownership of the property yet at the time. So that was the beginning stages of my career in the investing side of the industry.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So you send out some postcards. You're like, man, this guy's crushing it. I'm writing way too many loans for him. I should be writing loans for myself.
Yeah. Yes.
You start sending out some postcards, getting a little bit of feedback. And then obviously you find someone that's just highly motivated, urgent, ready to go, put it under contract. You're like, hey, I got this deal. Let's put a deposit on it, and it'll be yours once it's finalized. And you're like, hey, that was a quick $5,000.
That was a quick $5,000. And I actually did a double closing with his commitment at the time, and it just worked out. I was reading up on all the industry, and I did a double closing, and it was pretty fascinating. It was pretty fascinating.
That's awesome. So what did you learn through that process? Just dive in. You never know what's going to happen, or what?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I learned, during that particular process was to try to figure out more than anything what the need was for the seller.
Yeah,
And
that's
once
great.
I did that, it kind of helped me in every aspect of the entire industry. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really, really important part of the investors that we have worked with that really differentiates them from those that are seeing success and those that aren't seeing success. The
Yeah.
focus is on the seller
Yeah.
and the reasons they're looking to sell, building rapport with them and solving their problems
That's right.
instead of putting money in your pocket.
That's correct.
There's a huge difference there where if you go into a call or an appointment and your whole objective is I need to get paid and I'm going to do what it takes to get paid, that's good. I mean, there's a little bit of motivation there for you to take action, but if you're more focused on the person and solving their problem,
Yeah.
we've seen it time and time again that the money will find you.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, I've done hundreds of transactions, probably if not 1,000. And every single time it's based on the need of the
yeah.
seller. Yeah.
Well,
Every time.
that's awesome. That's really, really exciting. Well, first of all, congrats on taking the leap, jumping in and closing that first deal. And I'm assuming from there was a little fire lit inside of you and
Yeah.
you were excited and you started to go from there.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've done tons of transactions since that first one that laid the
Yeah.
foundation
Yeah.
for you. But tell me about some of your most recent deals that you've been working and kind of what your experience has been working with us here at Amplify.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, my emphasis has always been postcards.
Hmm.
Postcards. I've always done postcards. And, with COVID and the moratorium, it was like, well, what am I going to do?
Hmm.
And I'm always researching. That's kind of like part of what an investor does. In case anybody wants to know, we research. And
Yeah.
so as I'm researching, I'm looking, I'm like, I gotta tap into this internet type marketing. And I've tried it, my wife, we played with it, and that's just not my space.
Yeah.
And so, as I was doing some research, I saw Amplified. I was reading up on you guys, and I'm real picky. I'm real choosy. So I kind of, made some calls. I don't really listen to reviews because that's the individual, right? I always kind
Yeah.
of talk to the company. Don't ever look at reviews. So once I talked with you guys and got an idea of what you guys had to offer and analyzed it a little bit, I was like, this is the answer. I'm jumping in, and I hope for the best. I think I have the skills to handle the leads, and that's what happened. And like you said, it's only been a couple of months. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's great. Well, we appreciate you taking our word for it and trusting us and diving head in. It's been a really fun experience to continue to work with you, and it's been really exciting to see you close some deals. So
yeah.
we're in this, like I said, just a few months at most. And tell me about like one of the most recent deals that you've closed from Amplify.
Yeah. Once again, the nervousness was sitting in because I am picky and choosy. So when the lead started coming over, one of the things that was pretty fascinating was that I've used a lot of companies through the years, and I've tried a lot, lost a lot of money. But
Mhm.
one of the emphasis that I liked about Amplify was that you guys were giving me the exclusive lead, and you weren't sharing that lead with anyone, and it was real time.
Yeah.
Okay, it was real time. So as they were coming in, I was calling them up, and everyone was kind of receptive, and I was like, "Whoa, this is pretty cool." I mean, they were talking to me, and we were dialoguing, and I said, "Okay, these are real leads,"
Yeah.
and lo and behold, the first deal, just to kind of share with you that I ended up closing about a week or two ago.
Nice.
Actually, I closed two deals on the same day from
Oh,
Amazon
nice.
two,
Congrats.
2 weeks ago. And that was probably a couple months after I met you guys. But this was interesting because the deal was so strange. It's just fascinating. The call came from the owner's friend, and the owner just happened to be gone. He was incarcerated,
Okay.
and somehow he ran into some challenges. And this is very strange because
Yeah, this is unique for sure.
I basically build a rapport with his friend. And this is why you just never know in this industry what you have to do until you try to meet the need of the individual on the phone.
Yeah, for sure.
And so his friend kept saying, we have all this we have to do for him. He's in a bind, he's in a pickle. And I saw your information online, and I just needed to know if you could help me. I said, it's not a question, can I help you? The question is, am I going to be able to communicate, with the buyer? And what can you share with me? He said, I can tell you everything, and eventually you'll be able to talk with him. And the most important thing that I realized on that first call was meeting the need of the seller.
Yeah.
Just meeting his needs. And that's all we did. That's all we talked about. What can I do to help meet those needs? And by the time the call ended, my relationship with his friend was so great that his friend was like, he's going to take my word for it because we've been friends for 45 years. And long story short, he came out. I talked with him. We ended up closing on that deal, and it was a fantastic deal. It was a great opportunity for the seller in every way, shape, and form. It met every need he had. And in the term, I was able to benefit and sold it right away, same day, to a buyer. And it was like clockwork. It was incredible.
Wow, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
that's a huge learning opportunity, though, because there's a lot of investors that would have got on that first phone call and you're saying what? The homeowner's incarcerated? I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with this. I'm going to walk away, wash my hands of this. This was a bad lead. But in the reality is you took the opposite approach. You just tried to understand the why of why would someone actually fill out this form? Why would someone go through a random Facebook ad for their friend?
Yeah.
And so you built that rapport, you built the relationship, and it turned out to be and it sounds like a very profitable deal for you. So
it was not only was it a very profitable deal, I spent more time with his friend on the phone, and his friend was the one that drove him to the closing. His friend was the one that put him on the call when I talked with him. I mean, the friend orchestrated a lot for him because he wasn't a lot, really tech savvy and things like that. And he was going through a lot, but it was, plus he owed his friend a little money. That kind of helped him. So it kind of worked out. It kind of worked out really well, but it's just meeting the needs of the seller.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, congratulations. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure many more deals to come from this market. So let me ask you one final question. If you were to go back and give advice to a brand new investor just starting out, they're writing loans for this guy that keeps coming and that's doing real estate, what advice would you give, like one tidbit of advice to that brand new investor?
That's a perfect question because I've tried to mentor people through the years, and I always say the same thing. It's not about you. Real estate investing has to be about something bigger, just like anything else. It's like solving a problem. That's how we become successful in solving a problem. So yes, I would like to make this much money. Yes, I would like to be compensated on every transaction. That's how we eat. That's how we make a living.
Yeah.
But if the focus is not on how much money you're going to get, if the focus is not how I'm going to get paid, if you figure out how to meet someone's needs, that has to be your primary focus. And if it's not, you could still, I'm guessing, I've seen people I've talked to through the years, they've been able to do deals, but they can't make a living from it. It's not a career move in any way, shape, or form. So to the new investor, it's not really about you. And once you figure that out, everything works out at a very high level, especially with Amplify now that I got you guys now. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's great advice. I think a lot of real estate investors are really entrepreneurs using real estate investing as their business, right? It's something that they've realized that they might be good at. And some people love the deal structure. They love maybe creative finance, and that gets them really excited. And then there's also the people that are just people, right? And they're just focusing on the person and solving their problem and building those relationships. And that's what gets them really excited. There's room for both types of personalities and skill sets in this. But regardless of that, if you're focusing on the seller and solving their problem, you're going to just close more deals. It's just,
that's not even,
it's just a natural consequence.
It's not a question, because what you do is, when you're coming in the industry, you're listening to all of these things that are out there, all this information online all the time. And it doesn't have anything to do with what you've been hearing about the industry, and it's not easy and all that stuff. It's just, if you can go in and you can figure out how to solve a challenge for somebody or solve a problem or try to meet their needs, it's a done deal.
That's
It's,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, that's great, Jay. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. We're excited to be able to share this with others because I think you brought a ton of value, and a lot of people can learn from your experience, not just with us, but just your experience helping others in closing deals. So we really appreciate it. If always there's anything we can do to help you, please let us know.
We'll do. We'll do. I appreciate it.